You can start.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you everyone joining, जिन्होंने हमें direct अभी join किया है, and the people who will be watching us recorded जो है वो ये वाला webinar. And this session जो है वो Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, Trade and Investment Counsellor of Pakistan in Los Angeles, and atomcamp and National Incubation Center Pakistan have jointly organized it. The idea of organizing this event was that, you know, there are many women founders who are emerging in Pakistan and working on brilliant ideas and startups. And what we thought that, you know, what are the challenges that they are facing and what sort of opportunities are lying in Silicon Valley, that how different institutions, whether it's Trade Development Authority or Trade and Investment Counselor, how can they facilitate such women founders? So in this seminar, we have two female founders with us, and obviously, you know, what other women can look up to them, what they are doing, and then other women can also post their queries directly to us, to Trade and Investment Counselor. So what we'll do कि हम सारे जो पैनलिस्ट हैं उनके साथ जो है 3 to 4 minutes में सारे अपने बारे में बताएंगे और इस ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के बारे में. फर्स्ट राउंड में हम ये करेंगे. सेकंड राउंड में जब हम जाएंगे तो देन विल आल्सो सी क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम पार्टिसिपेंट्स कि अगर उनके कोई क्वेश्चंस हैं वो बता दें, और सेकंड फॉलो अप राउंड भी हम कर लेंगे. So to have you know, this discussion, again I would like to say that I think this is an opportunity that if the government institutions are coming forward and they really want to hear from the startup founders, what are their challenges, how can they support them. So this is the role that any government should play, and this is the role that they can, because ultimately, you know, startups grow due to the amazing ideas that people bring in and innovation they want to introduce. But networks are very important, and especially networks with tech hubs, with international you know, valleys where, you know, tech is prospering. So such networks and connections really have, that's my understanding, but we'll hear more from our panelists. What do they think? So with that, I'll request Ms. Quratulain Fatima. Ms. Quratulain Fatima is Trade and Investment Counselor in Los Angeles or Silicon Valley में और इस सारे area में she is making efforts to develop a network with Pakistani community, with other venture funds and startups. And but she has been doing since she has joined this LA position. So she has been trying to connect to people in the Silicon Valley as well as in Pakistan in tech community, that how can she create opportunities, how can she facilitate opportunities. So thanks to her for all of her efforts, and we'd like to hear from her. What does she think? What are the key goals? Because that proposal came from her and TDAP, Trade Development Authority of Pakistan. So I think I'd like to request from Quratulain Fatima कि आप बताएं, what do you think? What are the objectives that you have in your mind from this particular webinar, and how should we move forward?
Thank you so much, Dr. Naveed, for such a great introduction and for organizing this. And thank you so much for the tech startup founders who have joined. It's really, I feel as a woman, I feel very happy to see women, you know, venturing into this and getting things done. And so I basically, I'm here, I'm Trade and Investment Counselor in Los Angeles. I'm representative of the Ministry of Commerce and Trade Development Authority of Pakistan. So first, I would like to say that the government of Pakistan really thinks that IT is their one export that has like a lot of potential to grow. We have like a mark of reaching of $5 billion by 2023. And we can only do this by making constructive and concrete efforts to improve our trade. And in that, tech startups matter a lot. And we have specifically talked about women startups here, but this is for the general tech startups as well, because you know these are the modalities that everybody would follow. And इस सबको करने का मकसद ये है कि हम लोग इस वक्त we are working on a proposal with TTAB, with Pasha, and with PSAP to find some places in some tech conferences or ways to, you know, support tech startups and bring them here and give them access to funding, to platforms, to buyers and everything. So I wanted to hear from the tech startups, what are the issues that they are facing? What would they like to us to facilitate, and how would you like us to facilitate? And then we can probably get this feedback and improve our working here. And this is important as well, that we are also collaborating with Open, and I'm going to the Open Summit like in a few days, and we'll be having like venture funding organizations there. We will be having the ambassador, we will be having very, very big people from the tech. So it's very important to hear from you guys that what are the issues that you guys are facing, and how can we work to improve it. Thank you so much.
जी थैंक यू Quratulain फातिमा एंड वेलकम Zaki Shaheen. Zaki आपने ज्वाइन किया, बहुत अर्ली मॉर्निंग जो है वो आप सब लोगों को ज्वाइन करना पड़ा है डे लाइट सेविंग की वजह से भी. So Zaki Shaheen जो है, he's a software engineer and he has advised many startups from Pakistan जो लोग सिलिकॉन वैली में और अपनी एक्सपेंशन करना चाह रहे थे, स्केल अप करना चाह रहे थे, अपनी प्रोडक्ट्स को एक्सपेंड करना चाह रहे थे. तो Zaki के पास हम बाद में आएंगे. उससे पहले would like to hear from our founders who have joined us today. So सबसे पहले I'd request Ayesha Raza. Ayesha, if you can introduce yourself, about your startup, what you are doing, and so आप अपने बारे में भी बताएं, startups के बारे में भी बताएं, अपना idea के बारे में भी, and what are your plans in the future, and if you'd like to share some of the challenges, and what do you think where government institutions can help you to build your network abroad and to establish connections in Silicon Valley and other such tech hubs in the world. So Ayesha Raza, over to you.
Thank you so much. So I'm a co-founder of Abey Khao. Abey Khao is a cloud kitchen-based food takeaway and delivery platform, creating economic opportunities for the 10 million deaf and hard of hearing youth in Pakistan. And at Abey Khao, customers embrace deaf culture and place their orders in sign language. Being a CODA myself, which means child of a deaf adult, sign language and deaf culture is very close to my heart. And I won't be wrong if I say sign language is my mother tongue, and being the only hearing person in my own family. So by profession, I'm a bioscientist, but while growing up, I realized that together with my sibling, we started Abey Khao because we saw our community. They face, we grew up with our community and we saw them facing a lot of challenges, not because they cannot do anything. It's just the lack of opportunity and the lack of inclusivity. These were the two major issues we identified. So we always wanted to create a space where their identity should stay intact, and people, whenever they visit them, they should not feel shy about that, we cannot talk or we cannot communicate. So now, like I think so far it has been amazing. We have been featured a lot, and those of you who do not know, so Abey Khao, we never started Abey Khao thinking, I wasn't even aware of the term social, social enterprise. And since I am a bioscientist by profession, so it was more of an accident. We started in a form of a very small, push cart in a very hidden nook of Islamabad. It was just a test run for, my brother. He is also hard of hearing. So after his O-levels exam, and within 20 days, we were all over the newspaper. And after that, I think there was no stopping for us. So the major challenge we faced, because there is no clear policy for the street economy in Pakistan, since we are in a food trucking business, like, the food trucks are not really common in Pakistan. So, but we had to pivot a model
I think उनकी Ayesha stuck हुई है शायद, उनकी वीडियो जो है इंटरनेट का इशू. Can you hear Ayesha, everyone? Quratulain?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, now you're back.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Okay, go ahead,
all
Aisha.
about it. Okay, I was just highlighting the challenges we face, and when I was in US, we got to speak with a lot of food truck owners who didn't have like one food truck, so they really, like the network we created over there, they really sort of they are still, sort of guiding us and providing us that required mentorship, that how can we scale despite of these challenges in Pakistan. So now we are pretty confident that we can go for a high investment model, comparatively, so yeah.
Thank you, Aisha. That's an amazing story, and thank you for doing such a wonderful idea. और मैं जो एक चीज़ देखता हूँ पाकिस्तान में, when I interacted with many founders, I did my research work, PhD का भी मैंने उसमें founders के साथ मिला. तो one of the questions that I had in my mind, why did you do what you are doing? So when I see, people, in many advanced countries, that people often say that I just wanted to build something. I wanted to do something that will make me proud. So I hear all such stories from entrepreneurs across the world. But when I interacted with Pakistani entrepreneurs, so jo bahut zyada entrepreneurs say, what they responded to me that they saw a problem in their, somewhere around, they saw a problem in the society, and they said that we want to solve it, or we want to try to solve it. So I think this is the emerging trend in Pakistan, how is youth has taking up these challenges, and they are really trying to solve these problems through innovative solutions. So thank you, Ayesha, for sharing your work and your story with us. So we'll come to Zaki Shaheen later, and he's a person that I look up to him often when I have to take guidance, and he understands that how startups should communicate, how startups should actually reach out to potential investors, to mentors in the valley. So उसके बारे में हम ज़की से सुनेंगे. तो उससे पहले लेकिन we have Izzah Zaman with us. So Izzah, tell us about yourself, your startup, the kind of challenges you face, the aspirations you have, और क्या आप दुनिया में कुछ नया और बड़ा करने जा रही हैं. So Izzah Zaman.
Thank you so much, Naveed, and thank you for having me. A little bit about me: I'm a software engineer and graduated from NAST. Also, a Fulbright scholar, went to the US to get my master's, and that is when me and my co-founder, we came up with the idea of Shadiyana. Shadiyana is a one-stop wedding planning platform, basically like Food Panda, where you have all the vendors listed on one platform so that people can plan their weddings from the comfort of their homes. The US analogy would be the knot. So it's similar to the knot in the US. पाकिस्तान में बहुत बड़ी मार्केट है वेडिंग्स की, जिसमें लोग अपनी पूरी जिंदगी की सेविंग्स लगा रहे होते हैं, but it's all very manual. कुछ भी डिजिटल, बहुत कम डिजिटल इंफॉर्मेशन अवेलेबल है. So we make the process easy for them to discover vendors, to negotiate, to book them. आपने थोड़ी सी बात की कि हम what are the resources or the kind of help we can get from the US potentially. So while I was in the US, I think the only reason I was able to work on this idea was because I was at Carnegie Mellon at the time I was there. वहाँ पर there's a program called iCore, NSF iCore. So they're very nicely curated a step-by-step process कि आपके पास अगर idea है, what do you do next? It's nothing up in the air कि मेरे दिमाग में ये आया. It's very well curated. Talk to the customers. These are the questions you ask. ये feedback आएगी. Very well defined, and I think that was super helpful for us at that point. कि हमें, because they're very experienced, they've all their experience, they have translated it into processes जो कि उनके educational institutions में और बाकी institutions में पढ़ाए जा रहे हैं इस time पर. And I think that has all that was the most critical thing for us कि हम वो initial चीजें learn करें. And then after I came back to Pakistan, I still keep learning from all these resources. Jaise abhi bhi there's this book I'm reading, The Great CEO Within, I think it's called. और वो भी Silicon Valley के coach हैं जिन्होंने लिखी, and it's a brilliant book and it's very actionable. So I think any kind of exposure or interface we can get with these people, with these resources who have done all these things, they have figured out these things and can potentially guide us on a very actionable level. These are the steps that you can do to make your processes more productive, or things like these. I think those would be super helpful.
Thank you, Izzah. Still another amazing story. जिससे भी सुनते हैं, they are doing great work. And so thank you for sharing your story and the journey. And I totally agree with you the way you've mentioned how mentoring helps us. And that's why we've requested Zaki Shaheen to join us. So Zaki, I have so many questions for you based on the discussion that we are having. And the discussion that, it's turning towards that how these young people in Pakistan, particularly women, are entering into this startup space, and they want to expand, they want to experiment, they want to reach out to people who have done these things internationally and who can challenge their ideas, who can ask them, who can guide them. So what do you think that, what are the ways that these startups should establish networks in Silicon Valley? How should they reach out? What are some of the, incubators or accelerator programs that they should, try to enter into? So anything that you think that, and also I would request you to talk about your experience of working with startups in Pakistan. Or isme, what I understand that it is very important that how startups are conducting themselves, how they are reaching out to. So there are many such questions that I had in my mind. So I just thought to throw everything to you, and you are the person to answer everything, whatever we have today in our mind. Zaki.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me. Really happy to be here. A little bit of background: I do some tech advising for startups in Pakistan. One of the top ones is AimFit, which is also a women-led startup that has been working in Pakistan, doing amazing work in fitness tech. And here in Silicon Valley, I have experienced working in Facebook, Yelp, and now currently working in an early stage startup as well. I think two things that are very important for founders, especially in Pakistan, is number one is that your network is your net worth. So you need to put down who do you know, and they can connect you to more people. And a lot of times the biggest mistake founders make is that they have an idea, they're super excited about it, and they just don't want to share it with anyone, and they don't want to talk to anyone because there is a huge deficit of trust, and there's a huge deficit, sometimes inferiority complexes, sometimes just shyness. Like, why would anyone take me seriously? Why would anyone want to talk to me? Why would anyone introduce me to their friend, right? But if you take a stock of everyone that you know, so people you know from school, people you know from your university, people in your family, right? So just take all of them, put them in a sheet, and like right next to them where they are, and then try to reach out to, try to see what networks they can introduce you to. So for example, let's say I'm a founder, I'm from FAST University, and I can look up all the seniors that I have in FAST and then filter them by all the people who are in North America, and then filter them by all the people who are working in either big tech or startup. Now I have narrowed down, maybe I have some possibility. If not, then I can ask those people, and then chances are some of them will connect me to, or will advise me, or will tell me the next steps to go from there. So it's very important that you talk to your alumni networks, ex-colleagues, students that you have studied with, and that is very important. Second thing I would say, these days, you have to have a very clear understanding of business, right? Even if it is a social or non-profit or for-profit, you need to understand what is business, first of all. One tendency in Pakistan is to always, we are very nice people. So we always try to think of the good of the humanity and good of the public, and we want to help our people, etc., which is very noble, very good. But you need to also understand that even if you love your kids, you have to feed yourself as well. You won't be able to feed your kids, or you won't be able to see them by their 18th birthday if you're sick and you die of hunger, right? So you have to feed yourself. That means you have to make this startup, make this business self-sustaining before you can help your community, your country, your people. So for that, you need to have either raise money from other people, get funding, donations, or sell something to make money. Once you understand this, then you get to a point where you're like, I need influx of money from outside to run this business, right? I need $100,000 to hire 5 people, have this office space, buy these servers to deploy my application, and that's how I will go. So where will that $100,000 come from? The next step would be to understand how venture capital works, how venture capitalists think. Right now, venture capitalists are getting very, very specialized, right, in their teams, especially the bigger, the good ones. And that is one mistake that I see Pakistani founders making even today. They think they can just blanket email all the VCs saying, here's my idea, give me money. And 99% of them will just not respond. It's not because they are bad people or they don't see any value in your idea. It is because whoever you emailed is not working in that space, right? So for example, if Ayesha is working in social food kind of industry, and she emails Andrew Chen from A16Z, who is working in Web3 startups, he will not respond to you, no matter how nicely, no matter how you word it. The best answer you can get from him is, sorry, I don't work in this field. I can't help you, right? So you have to understand कि मेरी space क्या है, मेरा business क्या है, और इस business से related और businesses कौन से हैं, उनको किसने fund किया, and then reach out to those people for money, not randomly anyone. So recently I was talking to a founder from Pakistan. His startup was running out of money, and he was like, I need money, but I'm not getting any responses. I just emailed like 150 different VCs and nobody's responding to me. Please tell me, what am I doing wrong? And I was like, what's your space? And he said, I'm doing something in hardware. I said, okay, fine. If you're doing it in hardware, and most of the people in Greylock are working in SaaS businesses, so of course those people will not respond to you. So ये बड़ा ज़रूरी है to understand your network, and then which VCs to approach, and then finally we can talk further how to approach them, how to talk to them, what do you tell them, right? We think it's all about the idea, but like everyone has ideas. You gotta have this second point that I made. How will you make money? How is this a business? How is this a scaling business? How is this a startup? So you need to understand what's the definition of startup. Because if you're not a startup, if you want to open a grocery store, that is not a startup. And for that, you don't need venture capital. You need just regular capital or some influx of money, share some percentage of profit or ownership, and that's it. You're good to go. You don't need to reach out to Andreessen Horowitz or Greylock or Benchmark or all these people. They are here to go for scaling startups, so startups that have really big scale. So that is mostly it, and especially for women entrepreneurs, there are a lot of VCs in Silicon Valley across the world that are women-led VCs. And so, for example, the Counsel is one of them. And what they do is they take a lot of pride in being women-led, but most of them, their mission is to also help, people of color or people of gender, right? And they understand your issues, and they will also help you navigate. Another mistake founders do is they go to a VC, a random VC. Even if they respond to you, even if they give you money, that's not what you want. Because if they give you $100,000 and then never tell you anything else, a year from now they come back and they say, okay, you took $100,000. Where are the profits? Where's the growth? Right? And you're like, I'm still working on it. And they're like, no, you have to monetize right now, like tomorrow. How much money do you have left? I have $50,000 left. No, you have to cut your burn rate. Please fire these 7 people. And you're like, no, but I just hired them. I love my people. They're working fine. And the VC will say, no, you have to fire them because you have to cut the burn rate. Otherwise, your business is dead. The problem here is that VC did not interact with you for a whole year, did not introduce you to their networks, did not give you any other resources to help you grow your business. And now the thing that was making you happy at the start that you got $100,000 actually hurt you, because you could have had those $100,000 from a VC that actually helps you in their network. They connect you to Amazon and give you Amazon discounts so it can run your server. They connect you to recruiters who reach out to people, find you the best talent, and so on. So you have to find the VC, the people who actually help you. And especially women-led startups, they need a lot of guidance because there's frankly not a lot of idols that we can look up to in recent history, or a lot of success examples. So we have to be the success examples. So we need all the encouragement, all the resources, all the help that VC can provide. And here, the top VCs are very engaged with their portfolio companies. They connect them to each other. They connect them to resources. They have seminars on how to do growth, how to do product development, how to do marketing, how to approach go-to-market strategies, how to do press, how to leverage your network, all these things. So I think I touched a lot of things, but these are the main points that I had in mind right now.
Thank you, Zaki. I think this is really helpful. And this is actually, these are some of the challenges that we do need. These things should challenge, like Izzah was mentioning, that when she was going through that incubator program, then there are people who are creating their ideas, who are teaching them, challenging their ideas. So वो अक्सर मैं जो startup founders होते हैं उनको भी generally भी अपने students को कहता हूँ कि आप जो है वो Adam Grant की Think Again जरूर पढ़ें. And that is where he also, teaches us how to challenge ourselves. And so, that's where I think Izzah and Ayesha, if there is any reflection on what Zaki has said before we go to Quratulain, and do you want to add anything, that how do you see that some of these issues, because what we are doing here, not just for you, because other female founders as well, so they'll be watching it. So how do you take this advice that Zaki has shared? And as a founder, what do you think that how will it be really helpful for other founders? Izzah, any reflection from your side?
Where is that in our case?
Right. I think great points raised by Zaki around investment and how to approach investors. And I think that's a process that we generally follow as well, to see some investors, they're sector agnostic, but some of them very clearly mention कि कौन से sector में. And then I think a smart way is to tailor, up सबका time limited है, you have to be careful on or very intentional on how to spend it. So who do you approach, जिस पे probability थोड़ी सी ज़्यादा है. And I think great points. I'll also add a couple of things that I personally face as a female founder, some issues that we face, and these are open-ended issues. We don't have the solutions for it, but I do want to raise them because I think थोड़ी awareness कम होती है इनके around. The first one is mobility. Mobility is a big issue in Pakistan. As a female founder, आप अगर कोई किसी एक घर का निज़ाम भी देखें, usually the men are entitled to drive the car that sits in their house, and the women don't. Or even if, or they're like maybe second in priority. If the men don't have to go somewhere, then they can use it, or something like that. Or maybe if you're more privileged, then you have multiple cars, and one car the girl can take. तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा issue है. Now if I want to, unless I'm very privileged and I have my own car, how do I even go to my workplace? Or जैसे as a founder you have to wear so many hats, जिसमें आपने sales भी करनी है, जिसमें आपने 10,000 चीजें करनी है, और हर एक के लिए आपको बहुत ज्यादा different जगहों पे जाना पड़ रहा है. If you're meeting people, networking, how do you do that? Uber, Kareem, आपके, you're not making money either, right, at the early stage. तो या तो आप बहुत ज्यादा expense अपना commute में लगा दें. Metro is one option, public transport की, but it also does not go to every place, और वो भी बहुत limited है. And then even if we look at other transport options, not very safe. I would not be comfortable taking a ride hailing service at maybe 10 p.m. But there are networking events so 10 p.m. pe ho rahe hain. Then what do? Do I miss out on those opportunities? So I think mobility is a big one, and then safety is the other one. So again, wo wali cheez. Now if we consider, we are right now based in Islamabad, and if we consider expanding to Lahore, and when I even think about traveling to Lahore, the first thing that comes up is the motorway incident, that if I have to travel at night, will my parents be comfortable with that? So I think these are two really big issues jo mujhe lagta hai more voice needs to be raised about this. And I think government level per bhi some policies should consider ki how to enable women to entrepreneurship is a big already very big a challenge on its own. बहुत ज़्यादा already उसमें मसले होते हैं, but on top of that women face these two additional barriers. So if anything can be done about them, that'll be super helpful.
Yes, I think that's a great point. Urban mobility is a huge challenge. That's challenge for everyone, and especially for women. I think that's where Zaki and I both have interest in city management and urban policy. So this is where we also talk about city issues, and I particularly, do a lot of advocacy around women mobility, urban mobility. And in fact, right now I'm at visiting slums, and I'm part of a project that we are working on urban tech and trying to bring more data and evidence and showing these things, that how these things are creating problems. So that's also part of my work that I do as an urban policy student or enthusiast or urbanist. So this is something I think we all need to raise this voice, making this, safe mobility is a huge opportunity that, we are losing actually. अगर लोगों को safe mobility हो. Ayesha, would you like to reflect on just Zaki, what Zaki has brought these issues, sort of advice or guidance for startup founders?
I think he has raised a lot of good points. Even it was for us, it was a journey as well. Initially, when we used to contact all the mentors, and even when we were raising money or seeking grant, it took us some time to realize that we should be focusing on the impact investor, or let's say exactly, because while building a startup, we get very attached to our brand, and sometimes we get very emotional if we face a rejection from anyone. And I think it's very important to take. I would like to add here that sometimes people have often told me that Ayesha, it wouldn't work this way or that way. I would not say we should listen to all the advices but we should at least consider them. That even if it doesn't sound for example, if somebody is telling you maybe this idea wouldn't work this way or that way. I still remember when we were too much focused on the street economy policy and everything, then one of my mentor told me, and even I had to design the policy with the Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, and I did all the research work and everything, and then I asked them. Then one of my mentor advised me, Ayesha, what are you doing? This is not your job. You should be focusing on creating more employment and working on the areas that would help them to, and that would enable them to get jobs. And that is the area where you should be utilizing your skills. So now we are working on projects with Recently, we have joined, we are working with Mobiling Microfinance on the upskilling of, so that we can, as per the state bank policy now, all the banks are, they have to have a certain percentage of people with disability. So now it's a very golden opportunity for us to, now we are looking at other areas too. So that was a point I totally agree with. And yes.
Thank you, Ayesha. Thank you, Izzah. I think these are great reflections, and especially the points that you've raised. And obviously, at the end of the day, the founders have to take risks, and they are the ones, they should take advice, but ultimately they are the ones who have to decide what they want to do, how they want to do, and they should make their own mistakes, and they should also take their own risks. And that's how we move forward. We learn from failures, and that's how we advance. So Quratulain, I'd come back to you. Agar aap को सारी discussion को थोड़ा सा you can conclude, and as a trade and investment counselor, what we've heard from Zaki and everyone is Ayesha, that networking is very important, and this is something that really helps. So it's not just that you can help founders to raise money. Actually, it's something that these government institutions, I understand that they can facilitate in building such networks, in opening such doors and avenues and counseling and mentoring. So aap Quratulain bataएं कि what do you think that what are your plans to help such female and other founders, male or female founders, and how do you want to take this network and discussion forward?
Thank you, Dr. Naveed, and thank you, Ayesha, Izzah, and Zaki, and for really, very insightful inputs. This thing, networking, as everyone has been mentioning, Zaki has been very rightly mentioning, networking is very important for these tech startups, any tech startups, women-led, any other startups, to reach out to potential suitable, venture funding and technical support and anything. And this is something that has been discussed. This is something that is being discussed between the Trade and Investment Consulate here and the TTAB, Pasha, PSAB. We are talking to Open as well. And it has come up many times, and it's being discussed that Zaki must be knowing, you guys might be knowing that there are some very 10 to 11 very important tech conferences that happen around the year, mostly based in San Francisco, Las Vegas, and these areas. For example, TechCrunch, Money 2020, Open Summit is happening. There are a few others. So what we are thinking about, what we are working on is that we will work with tech startups, with organizations, with advisors like Zaki, organizations like Open and other. And we will find places in these conferences. We know that tech startups do not have that much funding to come to this. So the proposal is that we will find funding, the government will find funding, will find the placement, will find eligible tech startups to come to these conferences and showcase their work, to access all this funding, buyers, the new ideas. And the Open or other any organizations will provide us the tech support, and probably at times we can come up with some innovative solutions for funding as well. So this is something that is really in the pipelines, and we intend to carry on this. This is the first webinar in the series, or the first talk in the series, and we will keep on doing it. And hopefully within a few months, we want to come up with a proposal, and we would like to start the process of getting eligible tech startups here. Secondly, I'm also working on connecting to more sources of funding. So probably we can come up with some ways to facilitate the tech startups, in which we can guide to people how they can access funding or technical support. And in that, we will be collaborating with the organizations that I've talked about, and probably more. Thirdly, I'm always available here. You guys have talked to me. I'll share my contact as well. And anyone individually, if they want to reach out, they can reach out to us. And if they need any individually tailored kind of help, we can facilitate that as well. And lastly, coming back to Izzah, your point of mobility, I want to comment on that. I think it's such an important thing for women that, generally our policies are men driven. We don't realize that mobility is so important to, access all these opportunities. For example, there is a woman-led startup and it wants to come to USA, and then you don't have like permission to travel. Probably your parents have stayed, something like that. That kind of stuff. This is something that men don't have to think about. So we have to make this environment conducive for women. And I think women empowerment and tech is something that would be my priority here. And I hope to facilitate this and point out these things constantly to the government, and make it better for you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your input.
Thank you, Quratulain. Adila, you had raised hands. अगर कोई और जो है वो बात करना कोई और क्वेश्चन करना चाह रहे हैं आप किसी भी पैनलिस्ट मेंबर से? जी अदीला।
बेसिकली जकी से मेरा क्वेश्चन था, उन्होंने बताया था इन्वेस्टमेंट के बारे में और बहुत सब। मैं यही रेज करना चाह रही थी जो कुरतुलैन ने थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन किया बेसिकली एंड पे। वो यही है कि हमारे ना यहाँ पे इंफॉर्मेशन का बहुत ज्यादा इशू है, क्योंकि एक तो वुमेन फाउंडर्स वैसे ही इनकी मतलब टोटल अकाउंट जो है ना बहुत लिमिटेड था, बहुत थोड़ी सी वुमेन फाउंडर्स हैं जो सही तौर पे काम भी कर रही हैं और वो आगे आती हैं। तो इन जो है ना कौन कौन सी वुमेन के लिए ग्रांट्स अवेलेबल हैं, कौन सी फंडिंग अपॉर्चुनिटीज है, इन सब की इंफॉर्मेशन का कोई मतलब एक सोर्स नहीं है, मल्टीपल हैं लेकिन वो बहुत स्कैटर्ड है। और ये है कि मैं समझती हूँ कि हमारे पाकिस्तान में हमें अगर थोड़ा सा इस कल्चर को ना प्रमोट करना चाहिए कि हम लोग आपस में कनेक्ट हों, सारी की सारी जो वुमेन फाउंडर्स हैं, तो हमारी आपस की नेटवर्किंग इतनी स्ट्रांग हो और हमें पता हो कि व्हाट आर द अवेलेबल ऑप्शंस and what are the upcoming opportunities for women, so we can approach them, we can avail them, and we can also notify other women to come forward and become the part of it.
Yeah, I
Sure.
think that's
Zaki, would you
very
like to add to it?
Yeah, I think जो आपने point raised here about the information being scattered, that is very true and unfortunate. लेकिन इसमें you can see an opportunity, like somebody has to take the initiative to collect it, to build something for rest of the community. एक चीज जो मैंने Silicon Valley में आके सीखी है is are these small things that you find a problem and you find a lacking and you say कि अच्छा मैं इसको organize कर देती हूँ और I can just share it with everyone for free, like a blog post, like open source code base के आपको कोई tool नहीं है and you write it and you make it open source. That apart from the gender discussion between Pakistan and rest of the world, or at least US, that is a very important difference. Okay, building something and putting it out for free for others to consume, it requires some courage, right? And requires some encouragement and requires some forethought. Lekin once you start doing it, you realize it wasn't a big deal, and you can do that. It helps everyone vastly. Be flood relief mein, like a lot of people came together to say, "Acha, ye sari funding wali information scattered hai," and some people build like a small startup type thing. Just sari NGOs kisko fund kar raha hai, collect kar diya ek place pe. You can see a map and you can say, "Acha, Sindh mein, if you want to support like farmers in Sindh, तो कौन सी NGO को मैं पैसे दूं who are working with those people," right? So you can do this. Maybe you can encourage a few of your friends to work together on this thing that helps all the. And I think on the part of information, I think Twitter पे आप अगर follow करें these women-led VCs, VC firms, also women who have recently jumped into the VC world. For example, the Counsellor, or there are a couple of others like Overlooked Ventures, Community Fund. In लोगों को आप, if you start following them, then you'll start knowing the names of these women. Then you start looking at their past experiences. तो वो आपको एक trajectory नजर आ जाएगी, एक map नजर आ जाएगा of like where is all this information.
I
again,
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with it. Actually, मेरा भी background software engineering का है, and I do have experience of like more than 12 years. और अभी मेरा जो startup है वो भी मतलब थोड़ा सा technical side पे ज़्यादा जाता है. तो मैं क्योंकि actively मतलब इन चीज़ों की तरफ देख रही होती हूँ, तो सारी क्या क्या upcoming options हैं, कहाँ कहाँ पे, तो I do feel there is a need to collect all this information and put it together. तो और दूसरा जो है ना, हमारी जो community है women founders की, उसको भी हमें प्रमोट करने की मजीद जरूरत है अभी भी स्टिल. मतलब देयर इज अपॉर्चुनिटी के हम लोग करते हैं, फॉलो करते हैं, लेकिन अभी भी लैक ऑफ अवेयरनेस है बहुत सारी जगहों पे. बहुत सारी वुमेन फाउंडर्स हैं जो बहुत अच्छा काम कर रही हैं, लेकिन वो बहुत ज्यादा लोकल लेवल पे कर रही हैं. एक दो सिटी को टारगेट किया हुआ है, उन्हें पता ही नहीं है कि इसको मजीद एक्सपैंड कैसे करना है, या ये अच्छा काम है तो हम इसको कैसे नेक्स्ट प्लेटफॉर्म पे लेके जाते हैं. और बाज का फोकस ही उसको इंटरनेशनल या नेशनल लेवल पे लेके जाने का है, लेकिन उनका एक्चुअल में अगर आप काम देखें तो वो उस लेवल का नहीं होता. सो देयर आर मतलब दोनों चीजें हैं. तो मैं समझती हूँ थोड़ा सा कनेक्टेड हमें होने की जरूरत है. तो मतलब
there is a good point from this webinar. I think कुछ और निकले ना निकले, लेकिन you are going to develop a startup जो ज़की ने suggest किया है कि there is a problem and you need to come up with a solution. तो इस webinar से एक अच्छी opportunity ये निकलने जा रही है, that I can see. जी
I
ज़की.
think इसमें एक very important part here is कि I've seen people do this और वो बहुत enthusiastically चीज बनाते हैं, and then it doesn't get connected to the people who are out. For example, मैं अपने घर में एक let's say free food दे रहा हूँ, बट लेकिन एक होमलेस बंदा सैन फ्रांसिस्को में बैठा है, उसको कैसे पता कि मेरे घर पे फ्री फूड मिल रहा है? वो तो बेचारा सारे दिन भूखा रहेगा, राइट? सिमिलरली आपके पास इंफॉर्मेशन है अगर, और आपने लेट्स से कलेक्ट भी कर लिया अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ, एक और वुमन स्टार्टअप फाउंडर है लेट्स से हैदराबाद में या बदीन में, और वो इन रिसोर्सेज को ढूंढ रही है, उसे कैसे पता चलेगा कि फॉर एग्जांपल आयशा बना रही है कहीं पे या इज़ा बना रही है कहीं पे? तो I think that's where Quratulain can help us to like add these resources, collect all these resources at government level या at central level, जिसका एटलीस्ट सबको पता है कि अच्छा अगर स्टार्टअप शुरू करनी है, I can go to like IT ministry or I can go to Pasha whatever, and I can ask them कि भाई आपके पास क्या resources हैं, and they can then name you or your resource कि अच्छा ये कुछ founders ने ये information collect किया और आप ये देख लें. And I think that very small thing will have a huge impact. क्योंकि कर बहुत सारे लोग रहे हैं काम, लेकिन फर्क मसला ये है कि वो कनेक्ट नहीं, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का मसला है. जिसको चाहिए इंफॉर्मेशन और जो बना रहा है वो एक दूसरे को डिस्कवर नहीं कर पा रहे. दैट इज अ वेरी बिग गैप जो कि सिलिकॉन वैली में नहीं है. अगर फाउंडर है, ही जस्ट गोज टू देयर वीसी और गोज ऑनलाइन टू द वीसी वेबसाइट, और वहां से दे गेट 50 लिंक्स and then they can go find a bunch of different things. पाकिस्तान में there is no place कि किधर like woman founder किधर से start करे, किसके पास जाए, and then उसके पास अगर चली भी जाए they have very limited information. So that is a big problem to solve.
Yeah, thank you Zaki. I think this is a great point. और उसमें Zaki के साथ हमारी और जो discussion atom camp से चल रही है, this is another area that we often feel कि पाकिस्तानी जो पाकिस्तान में talented लोग बैठे हुए हैं, they are unaware of the job market in the US और कितनी tech community की ज़रूरत है, and many of them actually can't develop a good CV. They don't prepare themselves how to appear in an interview. तो उसके ऊपर ज़की के साथ we did a short interview and that is also an Atom Camp's YouTube channel पे भी है, where he actually gave very good advice कि लोग myths क्या हैं इस process के बारे में. We often think कि हमें कोई hire ही नहीं करेगा, but actually the problem is our CV actually. वो पहली stage पे ही shortlist नहीं होती. और so these are the things that where I think Silicon Valley में I often ask everyone जो भी founders हैं जो global career बनाना चाह रहे हैं, to try to get more mentoring, seek more advice, or even जो advisory role में engage more people from that tech hub जो आपको guide कर सकें, connect कर सकें. So that's very important. So thank you Quratulain and Trade Development Authority of Pakistan for joining Atom Camp to organize this webinar. I think I personally learned a lot from all of you, especially Zaki, Izzah, and Ayesha, and a wonderful effort that Quratulain is doing. And with that, we'll conclude it here. And we'll continue this conversation as Quratulain mentioned that this is the first of the series. and maybe we'll take it forward, and maybe at some point of time, Quratulain will do more research on, such opportunities, and we'll talk about these, startups, venture funds that one should connect with. So with that, we'll conclude it here, and we'll post it on atomcamp's website and on the YouTube channel as well. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you,
ये
Alap.
question